Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. How is everyone? Okay, today we are solving one more paper, that is paper May June 2022, paper 2. As you can see, the paper name is Problem Solving and Programming. Okay, fine. Very correctly pinpointed, Adi. Actually, this is not what we are supposed to actually appear in. This is a little changed syllabus, but you can see the number of like the topics that are covered here are somewhat similar to what you are learning. So it's better if we practice from these papers also, okay? So just for this reason, we are attempting the questions from here also. You can see instructions. You have to answer all the questions. You don't have to attend. By the way, this was the paper where we were working on pre-release material, and you can take this pre-release material just for the purpose of practice also, just for preparing your scenario-based question, which is an unseen question. So that will help you a bit in improving your programming skills, okay? Again, a few instructions you can see are the same. You have to use a dark blue pen or a black pen. You may use pencil for the diagrams. Write your name, center number, and candidate number in the boxes at the top of the page. You have to answer on the given spaces. Do not use an erasable pen or correction fluid at all. Do not write on any barcodes. Calculators still must not be used in the paper. Now, earlier the paper was of 50 marks. Out of these 50 marks, 30 marks were for section B and 20 marks were for scenario for pre-release material. So the number of marks are given in the brackets, and there is no mark that is awarded for the brand names. Now I'm just showing you the section A. This is dealing with something similar to what you are getting in your paper. So you can go for the practice. Definitely you can go for the practice also. That will help you a lot. Okay. Again, the same concept of writing down the pseudocode, the use of constants and variables. Simple questions were there. I'm not going into detail at the moment at all. Let me move on to section B, that is our major concern, because this is dealing with a number of topics that are similar to what we have studied. Now you can see, question number 2, the algorithm allows a user to input their password and checks that there are at least 8 characters in the password. Then the user is asked to re-input the password to check that both inputs are same. The user is allowed 3 attempts at inputting a password of the correct length and a matching pair of passwords. The predefined function len, length of x, returns the number of characters in the string x. Now, this was a little bit of the discussion, and I hope that you can comprehend. What is it dealing with? As a user is asked to enter the password, and the same entry is to be entered twice, just to ensure that the 2 passwords are matching. Fine. And definitely you are told that the len is a function that is used to tell the length of the string. Like for example, if it's ABC, so the length of the string will be 3 characters. So just remember a predefined function which is called the library routine, len, is there to be used. Now this was the discussion. Now let's move on to the actual question. Attempt equals to 0. Repeat. Pass check equals to true. Output, please enter your password, input password. If len of password is less than 8, then pass check equals to true. Else, output, please re-enter your password, input password 2. In line number 12, if password is not equal to password, then pass check equals to false, end if. And again, you can see one more end if is here. Attempt equals to attempt plus 1 until pass check or attempt not equal to 3. Now, in line number 19, once the repeat until loop is over, if pass check, then output password success, else output password fail, end if. Now you are asked to identify 3 errors in the pseudocode and suggest a correction to remove each error. By the way, can you identify the errors here? Just go through this and find out. Can you? Okay, now, are you able to identify the first error? Okay, now let's see whether our answers are matching or not. Have you identified a few errors? Okay, now let's see. The first error is in line number 8. As you can see, pass check equals to true. Actually, when you talk about this line, if length of password is less than 8, now let just think, how is it possible? For example, if the length of password, as you can see, here we were supposed to talk about the length of the password. So length of the password is less than 8, it means pass check should not be true. So that's an error, and you have identified it correctly that that should have been password equals to false. So it means line number 8 is an error, correctly identified. Now moving on to the second error, line 12. If password is not equal to passwords, here you can see we are matching password with password 2. So we are going to say if password is not equal to password 2, or another student has written if password 2 is not equal to password, then pass equals to false. So again, you can see line number 12, it has an error and it should be corrected in two ways. Either student and one student has identified that he wrote if password 2 is not equal to password, and another student wrote if password is not equal to password 2. But remember, it is not possible that both are going to be the same. That doesn't make any sense. So what you have identified, basically, this one has an error because it is not supposed to be equal to 2 at all. Second error, as is identified, is basically this one. See, how is it possible? If password is not equal to password, that is an error. It means line number 12 has an error, line number 8 has an error, and besides this, which other line has an error, you can see line number 18. Until pass check means until pass check, or attempt is not equal to 3. It should have been attempt equals to 3. Means the condition, remember, repeat until works when the condition is false, isn't it? So it means that it should stop working when the condition is true. So whenever we have worked on the attempt is going to be, like you can recall, the attempts were allowed to be 3. So if you have taken 3 attempts and still the passwords are not matching, so definitely it should not be like, it should not be going further. So that is why it should be until pass check is correct, or attempt equals to 3, not attempt not equal to 3. So then you have identified it accurately that the errors are in line number 8, line number 12, and line number 18. Again, remember what we have told you, that do not start attempting immediately. First, go through the whole question, locate the errors, underline it with pencil. If you're confident about your answer, only then go for writing down the final answer. Please remember, please follow the instructions as we have told you. Fine. Just recall the same. And you can see line number 8, pass equals to true, correction, pass equals to false. Line 12, if password is not equal to password, correction is if password 2 is not equal to password, or another student can write if password is not equal to password. And third error is line number 18, until pass check or attempt not equal to 3 is wrong. The correction is until pass check or attempt equals to 3 is correct. Or another student can say attempt greater than or equal to 3, that is also correct. Are you clear? Okay. The algorithm includes 2 types of checks on the input data. Identify and describe each type of check. Now, this is really interesting. If I move back to the question, again, you can see, let's move back. Let's reread this question. And a student can make a mistake very easily, and still you can see the validation questions are still coming in the paper. Like still they are forming an integral part of the paper. So here you can see, look at the question, allowing a user to input the password and checks that there are at least 8 characters. At least 8 characters means, what strikes your mind? Exactly, validation, which is the length check. Then the user is asked to re-input the password to check that both inputs are same. You can see this is basically the same, like here you can see, from here we can deduce that we are talking about the validation process, and from here you can deduce it's basically, see, input the password and checks that there are at least 8 characters. Again, you can see at least 8 characters. This is very, very important. Okay, at least 8 characters in the password means that you can write it down for yourself. That is validation. Fine. I mean, this is what you can do. Now, again, length check. The user is allowed 3 attempts at inputting the password of the correct length and matching pair of passwords. Matching pair of passwords means it is talking about the process of verification. Are you clear? Understood? Now, let's move back to the question. B part, the algorithm includes two types of check on the input data. Identify and describe each type of check. It's a 4-mark question. 1 mark for the type and 1 mark for the description for both first and second. So a student can write validation, perfect. And if he mentions length check, that's wonderful. And if he writes down the proper description, like length check is there to check the number of characters in the password are there. I mean, it's up to you. The way you're explaining, it's up to you. Description may vary, but the student should write down the proper term, which is validation check, and he should mention the length check. And then for the second one, he should mention verification, and that is double entry. Please remember, same password entered twice, and matching is verification. And double entry means comparison that the two inputs are same. Isn't it interesting? Okay. Part C. Give 2 sets of test data for this algorithm and a reason for choosing each set. Again, you can see this is something that we have been talking about, like it's done out test data. Here you are asked to mention set 1 and then reason, then set 2 and reason. Still we are getting such questions, isn't it? Okay, now just an example, any appropriate example, like any student can write anything. Like for example, they can mention anything. And like for example, small, and must follow through from the password given. For example, abnormal data will be rejected. Now, if the student has taken any example and he has mentioned it properly here, and he has given the proper reason for that it should be rejected because it said abnormal data. And on the contrary, like again, just a very quick recap for the test data, what have we learned? Can we recall quickly? Yes, test data. What strikes our mind? Test data. Normal, abnormal, extreme, and boundary, isn't it? Now, in this case, you can see for yourself that extreme and boundary as such are not feasible options because of the reason that password is not mentioned. So here you can go with these two basically options. So you can mention, you can take the reason, maybe for one situation you can say abnormal, and for the second situation you can say the normal, which should be accepted. And definitely the passwords are supposed to be same. Fine. So any different appropriate example, for example, password and password, a person can say large, and another person can say class and class. So, but remember the set 2, which is normal data, is supposed to contain the matching values. So any example will be appropriate, but just remember reasons are going to be for abnormal. You're going to talk about any set. One example is going to be like the correct one, which is not matching with the second value. Like one will be maybe small and second one will be password. But on the contrary, if you talk about the normal, again the two passwords are supposed to match. So you can choose any, and your work will be considered as an accurate one. Clear? So you can see again the same topic is coming regularly in our paper, and we can get some help from here also. Fine. Any questions? Okay, now describe question number 3. Describe a 1D array. Include an example of an array declaration. Again, you can see this is a 3-mark question. What you need to know is what is a 1D array. Just the description. There are a few can say a few example points are here. It's a list, a 1 column of items of the same data type. Most important thing is the array includes the elements of the same data type, and they are stored under a single identifier. They are addressed, accessed by using the same identifier, and with a single index to identify each element. Like student can write in his own words, but he should be mentioning the important things that are a part of the explanation of a 1D array. And one more important thing is how do you declare the array? Again, you can see for yourself the example. Again, nothing mentioned, so you can take an example. The keyword declared, this is your array name, colon, then array, and since nothing is mentioned, that's why 1:10 of the data type. So this is how you can see that we can declare an array. So if you have mentioned, I mean, the same question, something similar to this one can come in our papers too. So they may ask you to explain the 2D array also. Like here you can see a 1D array is addressed using a single index, but for a 2D array, you need two subscript numbers, two indexes, isn't it? Yes, exactly, row and column. So this is how the questions can be framed for us too. Easy? Okay. Any questions regarding this? How can you score marks in this manner? Like 3-mark question can be scored very easily. Explain how indexing could be used to search for a value stored in a 1D array. Now here they're asking to explain how can you search. Again, if you remember, by the way, we have done searching in an array. Which search have we learned? Okay, that's wonderful, Ahmed. It's basically linear search. So just recall the same concept of linear search. What is done? Well, how do we search basically? We start from the beginning, exactly. We take input of the item to be searched. We start from the beginning and we keep on searching the entire array, and we stop when the item is found or the whole array is searched. So these are the concepts that you can see. Same thing, something similar to this one is asked here. Question is dealing with 2 marks. Using a counter to index the array so that the same code can be repeatedly used to check every element, or every element can be checked in a loop. So whatever we have discussed right now, something similar to this one can be explained in your answer, and that can be considered as the right answer. Like we have spoken in our own words, this is also one method of answering. And definitely, if you have answered accurately, then you will be able to score 2 out of 2. Not a difficult thing at all, isn't it? Okay, now, question number 4. Now, isn't this something that we do? Yes, exactly. The algorithm checks the temperature of hot food being served to customers. Now, this is the question. As you can see, it is dealing with the start. Then we have counter. This is my which box? This is my, exactly, this is my process box. In this, you can see 4 variables are initialized. No worries. You can see that the 4 variables are initialized here. Counter equals to 0, hot equals to 0, cold equals to 0, and serve equals to 0. They are mentioned and they are initialized here in this line. The 4 variables initialized here. Input temp. For this, we have to refer to this data. 75, 78, 84, 87, one by one, we'll refer to this. Is temperature equals to -1? Yes. Error is calculated and output. If that is not, then we are just checking a few other checks. Is temp greater than 86? Yes. The variable hot equals to hot plus 1, output to hot, and it goes here. And you can see it goes here, 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 to here, and the value of counter is increased by 1. And again, the input of temperature is taken again. Is temperature, now this, if this is not the scenario, then we are moving down. Is temp less than 63? Yes. Then we are checking for the condition. If the condition is true, then cold equals to cold plus 1, output to cold, and still you can see the flow of your flowchart is going here. If all the conditions are false, like the temperature is not equal to 1, -1, the temperature is not above 86, the temperature is not below 63, it means it is somewhere in between. Then like 63 and 86 exactly. Then serve equals to serve plus 1. Again, you can see the control is sent to counter value, increase by 1, and we are taking the input again. Clear? Now, moving to this. Counter 1, hot equals to 0, sorry, counter equals to 0, hot equals to 0, cold equals to 0, and serve equals to 0. First input of temp taken 75. As you can see, this is 75. And this is stored in the variable temp. Fine. Now we are just checking, is temp -1? No. It moves down. Is temp above 86? No. It moves down. Is temp less than 63? Again, no. It moves down. And serve, the value of serve is increased by 1. So you can see the value of serve is increased by 1. By the way, which concept is it? Serve equals to serve plus 1, hot equals to hot plus 1, Cold equals to cold plus 1. Exactly, that's wonderful. That is basically your counting. So here you can see simple tasks being handled. We can check, we can see, and we found that the value is not the value of serve is increased by 1, and the control moves here, and the value of counter is also increased by 1. Value of counter was 0, it became a 1. Fine. And the next input is taken. Which is the next input? 78. You can see 78 is input here. Again, the same process repeated. Temperature not equal to -1, temperature is not above 86, temperature is not below 63. So it means the value of serve will be increased by 1, so it becomes 2. Previous value of 1 plus 1 makes it 2. Moves up with the value of a counter increased by 1, you can see the value of counter becomes 2. Okay? Input of temperature taken again, now it's 84. You can see now the third time the value is 84. Input here, again, not equal to -1, not above 86, not below 63. Again, the value of serve is increased by 1. And you can see the value of serve is 3. Plus 1, 2 plus 1 makes it 3. Counter's value increased once again and becomes 3 once again. Now input taken, temp equals to -1, still condition is false. Now it is the next input is 87. Not -1, but here you can see now it is meeting the criteria, this condition is met. Above 86, yes, true. So it moves here. The value of hot, that was 0. And again, you can see now all the, like it's better if you leave all of them blank, like you can fill in with zeros also, that's perfectly okay. But it's always suggested that make it more readable and leave all this blank and just show the change wherever it's occurring. So the value of hot will be increased by 1, as this is the scenario. Output to hot. Now you can see output to hot. Be cautious. It has to be exactly in the same manner as is mentioned here. Please do not make any change and do not put quotations. Quotations are just there to tell you this is a string value that has to be in the same manner output. Fine. And then you can see to hot, the value of hot is increased by 1. The output of to hot in the output column. And again, you can see the control is moved here and the value of counter is once again increased by 1. So here, the value of counter becomes 4. And input of temp again, 87 done, now it is 91. You can see 91. Now, again, the same repetition, temp not -1, temp above 86. So we can see the value of hot will be increased by 1. 1 plus 1 becomes 2. And the output again, once again, will be too hot. And the control moves here and the counter's value becomes 5. I think that we can manage, isn't it? The next input taken after 91, it's 80. And again, 80 meeting the criteria. This condition not met, not above 86, not below 63. So it will be serve equals to serve plus 1. So you can see here, the value of serve left blank here, and then it is increased by 1 here, 4. Next input taken, 75. 75 again, you can see 75 is neither like not -1, not neither too hot nor too cold. So now that will also increase the value of serve, and you can see the increment of counter is happening repeatedly. Input again taken of 70. Again, 70 is also going to increase the value of serve because it is neither above 86 nor below 63. And serve will be increased by 1, and the next input is taken after the value of counter is again increased. Now you can see input temp again 65. Now 65 will again be resulting in being served. So serve equals to serve plus 1. The value of counter is increased by 1, and the next input is taken. Now it's 62. Now here you can see serve, like the earlier the serve value was increased by 1, then counter was increased by 1. Next input taken of 62, not equal to -1, not above 86, but it is less than 63. Now be cautious, it's less than. Okay, now, okay, just asking, if assume that the value was not 62, but that was 63. So will you take it as a yes, or will you still move on to serve? That's very good. Since it is less than 63, it means only below values, not 63. So that is how they may trick you. And that's what they are doing nowadays. That they are talking about such values which are going to be the boundary values basically. It's fine. So now you can see the temperature is less than 63 because it's 62. And that will result in the value of cold being increased by 1. So you can see all the values are blank here and the value of cold is increased by 1. And output of 2 cold, you can see as it's here. And then counter's value is increased again by 1. You can see it's 10 and it moves up. Now it's -1. Now see, when its input of -1 is there, yes. So we are going to calculate the error. As you can see, error equals to hot plus cold upon counter into 100. So what is the value of hot? You can see the value of hot is 2. The maximum, yes, exactly, not 1 plus 2. The last value is 2. Then 2 plus 1 is 3. And the value of counter is 10. So what happens is you are going to talk about 2, which is the value of hot, plus 1, that is the value of cold. 2 plus 1, which is the value of hot plus cold. And then you will have the value of counter, that is 10, and multiply by 100. Just I'm showing you the whole calculations. Again, remember, you don't have to use a calculator, so don't carry the calculator at all. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 upon 10 means it's 0.3. Or you can simply have multiply by 100. You can simply just cancel out this 0 with 0, and then what you can get is 30. So it will be calculation of your error. You can show the calculation here. The error calculation is 30 and output of 30 only. Just remember, it's error only. So you will simply display the value of 30 here. And you are ending the program. By the way, what about this 20? Will you take this 20 at all? No, not at all. So that they have given you this just to trick you, that maybe some of the students will think that this 20 has to be worked upon as well. So please remember, the value of 20 will not be input at all because the program will end when -1 is input. Are you clear? Any questions? Easy now? Okay, that's wonderful. Great. Now let's move on to the other parts. State how the final output from the algorithm could be improved. Now, this is the one more question. Now, you may have a message for the user that is going to explain the value output. For example, the percentage of meals not served, outputting hot and cold and serve also. Because here we are just talking about the percentage of error. So we can even have a message for the user also. What is the percentage of meals that were not served? So this is going to be one example. A message, just the word, the 30 is coming. What is this 30? So if there is a message explaining what this 30 is indicating, because we are computing the percentage, that will be a more user-friendly program. Okay. Another option one student can write, we can output the hot, cold, and serve also. We are not actually outputting, we are just outputting the variables, the values like too hot or too cold. We are not actually outputting the number of hot serving and the number of cold serving, or the values that were either too hot or too cold. So anything that is viable will be accepted by the examiner. Identify the process in the algorithm that is not required. Now you can see updating the serve variable, serve equals to serve plus 1. You can see here, serve is not used anywhere. You can see it's not used in calculations. It's nothing like that. So if you have ignored this, that's perfectly okay. So if you have identified these, that is considered to be a perfect answer. Fine. Now, question number 5. A database table nurse is used to keep a record of disposable items worn by veterinary nurses. This is part of the table. Now you can see this is just a part of the table. Okay, now just a few, like there's a correction, like amendment that I've made here. Instead of using the scenario, that used to be there, that was basically, I've just included it as an SQL, right? The SQL to display only the item number and the description of single-use items where the stock level is below the reorder level. Now you can see for yourself what are the situations. First thing is we have to select what to be displayed, only the item number and the description. And what we did is we saw from here that actually we have to take this item number and the description. This was supposed to be displayed. That's why it is written here with select. Easy. From which table? These are the two items. These are the two field names that have been taken from the table, and they are taken from the table nurse. So you can see from nurse. Now you can see after that, what is the situation where the stock level is and the description of single use items. Now they have not given you the work directly. They have just given you of single use items. And you can see single use items where the stock level is below the reorder level. So there are two situations you have to check. The first situation is the single use items, and second situation is the stock level is below the reorder level. So we are just checking it by using where clause, where use is equals to 1 and stock level is less than reorder level. So you can see here, use is equals to 1 is situation number 1. The use of and, because both situations have to be met, and stock level is less than reorder level. So this is how we can go for checking. And the question was actually something different as was there earlier. So I've just converted it from that question to SQL for practice, and I hope that that is going to help you. So 1 mark for the proper selection of the field names, 1 mark for the timetable name, 1 mark is for the first situation, and another mark is for the second situation with an and in between. And in this manner, you can easily score. Part B, give a reason why the field single use is not required in the table nurse. So you can see, isn't it something which is duplicated, like single use, yes, single use, yes, single use, yes, single use, no, no, yes, and uses 1, 1, 1. Isn't it something which is actually similar? So that is why you can see the field uses already shows this information. I mean, there was no need because it is resulting in duplication of the data, or you can say it's resulting in redundant data. Okay, so that is why it is not considered to be a very viable option. Why use one more? Isn't it? I'm just asking, although the question is not there, which field do you think is going to be considered as the primary key out of all the fields? By the way, how many fields are here? Just count. How many fields are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 fields. Okay? Fields are 6. And how many records are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Luckily, the number of records in the fields are the same. But the question can come in the paper. Which field is going to be the primary key out of these? Definitely item number, because that is storing the unique values. You can see that none of the values are repeated. Okay? And the data type for item number. What is the data type for item number? Okay, that's wonderful. Alphanumeric, fine. By the way, we are not going to write string. You can write down either text or alphanumeric. So in this manner, you can prepare all the questions in the same manner for practice of a database. Like the questions can come in your paper. So this is a question that you can definitely result in scoring. So I suggest you that you can practice from the past papers also, and that will help you a lot. Okay? No worries at all. Okay. Any questions before we finish our lesson? Jazakallah khairan Kasira for being a part of the learning journey. If you have liked my video, if you like my explanation, share it with your friends and families that they all are going to benefit from it. And do not forget to subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon so you're getting the updates as soon as any new video is uploaded. Besides this, there is a complete playlist of the papers. So go through that and you will definitely learn a lot. Allah Hafiz once again.